Ladies and gentlemen, good day. My name is Dr. Evangelos Bebetsos. I'm one of the researchers of the research that I'm going to present you in a few minutes. Let me introduce myself, just letting you know that I'm a full-time professor in the School of Physical Education and Sport Science at the Democritus University of Thrace, and my area of specialties is sport and exercise psychology. As you see, the title of our presentation is the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on handball referee psychology. What I'm going to try to go through is, as you see, the purpose of the study. I will give you a small introduction. I will present the material and the methods that we used, results, discussion, and finally, the thank notes to everyone who took place in our research. Generally speaking, we know that for the past 2.5 years, and please allow me to give my personal opinion, for quite a few years more that are going to come, we are affected by COVID-19 outbreak. As a sports psychologist and generally as a psychologist, you have to try to understand. Me and my international colleagues tried since 2.5 years ago conduct different research to address the effects of COVID-19 outbreak on the psychological aspects of general people. So if you go through any search engine, you can find numerous research. What we tried to do, a first thought, because as I mentioned before, I'm a sports psychologist, I thought, me and my colleagues, to try to reveal or try to find if COVID-19 pandemic affected special athletic backslash sport group, which are the international referees. Of course, you can say that yes, because we are very much restricted on our games that we conducted this past 2.5 years. You are correct, generally speaking. But research-wise, that's why we believe and we know that the research is based on a very special uniqueness. The uniqueness of our study is that no previous research has been conducted addressing the psychological aspects and the psychological quote-unquote problems that might occur among international handball referees. So, after we came into contact with the European Handball Federation and addressed them our thoughts of specific research, they gave us the opportunity to conduct this research. More specifically, the sample that we used and we had there, they were 212 international officials. Among them, 164 were men, 46 were women, and people didn't indicate their sex preference. The age group was between the ages of 21 to 49 years of age. Of course, as you see at the bottom line, indoor and beach handball referees from 50 member nations of the European Handball Federations were part of this research. What we tried to do, of course, one of the major tools in psychology and, of course, in sports psychology is the use of questionnaires. So our instrument was a very specific questionnaire. The title of the questionnaire is Emotion Regulation Questionnaire of Gross and John, 2003. What is more specifically the information about this specific instrument? The questionnaire consists of 10 different questions. As you see, two aspects or two variables we try to find out with the use of the questionnaire. The first variable is named by the initial researchers as reappraisal and cognitive reappraisal, and the second variable is expressive suppression. So we have reappraisal and suppression. The type of answer that the questionnaire used is a 7-point Likert type scale ranging from 1, strongly disagree, up to 7, strongly agree. As you see over here, the questionnaire is being translated in different languages. So we have feedback of which is very important to us, that we can, and as you see, we translated even Greek language, which is a part of another major study. I have to give you a better definition about the two variables that I entitled to you before. When we speak about reprisal, as you see, we are talking about changing the way one thinks about a situation. Generally, this change uh, is implemented early in the process. Let me give you an example of a question. When I want to feel more positive emotions, such as joy and happiness, I change what I'm thinking about. So you see, generally speaking, and more simply for you, that when I want to feel more positive, I change the way that I think, meaning, quote unquote, I try to think of something happy, having a happy thought, of seeing a happy picture in my mind as mental imagery, so I feel more happy. On the other side, suppression, as you see, involves inhibiting the expression of emotions, generally implementing later in the process. An example of a suppression question is, and was in the questionnaire, when I'm feeling positive emotions, I am careful not to express them. You understand, even from the word suppression, the person suppresses his emotions, generally, specifically speaking. How we collected data. Of course, uh, internet gave us a result and an answer to this big question, and on the other side might be a problem. We used electronic form questionnaire using Google Forms. The data collection period was 3 months, as you see, between June and August of 2021. The participants, of course, were informed about the parameters and the ethical issues that govern the research, meaning that voluntarily they participated. Of course, they never wrote down any aspects or any indication of their names, and of course, any time during the completion of the questionnaire, they could leave research. And in the end, the use of the data exclusively was only for research purposes. Let's see what we found out through the statistical analysis. We used one-way ANOVA analysis. What we tried to find possible differences. Begin with is any sex differences, between the two variables. The other thing that we tried to find out is that we had, if we tried to locate any differences between among the two official levels. The two official levels, as you see, is between European handball and international handball officials and European only handball referees, meaning officials. The results showed us that men were more reappraised than women. And on the other hand, women were more suppressed than men. What I have to mention over here to let you understand the psychological aspects of the questionnaire is that the initial researchers who developed the questionnaires, they say, and of course is among the psychologists is well understood that when, for example, one group is more reappraised than the other, it has to be less suppressed than the other, meaning that when reappraise is high, suppression is low. The opposite, when suppression is high, reappraise is low. So that's why we found out that, of course, when from our result that we see over here, when women were less reappraised, 4.21, 28 is the mean. Opposite men, we have a 4.73 mean. Women were more suppressed, meaning 3.68, where men were 2.38. So we know that, and we proved it through our study. Additionally, very important to us, and I believe to you too, is that we found out that only the European handball referees were more suppressed than the European and international handball referees. I told you before, we have the uniqueness of our study. Okay, first time study like this is addressed on handball referees. Another very important aspect of the study is that we found differences among the referees. But let's go beforehand among the first differences between the sexes. Psychologically speaking, ladies and gentlemen, we know from other researches that women are more emotional than men. The emotional aspect, the differentiation of the women is not only among the positive emotions such as happiness or joy, but is also among the negative emotions such as sadness and suppression. And as you see, past research supported our results, meaning that we know that they have this greater emotion response. That's why we saw women, because we know that the COVID-19 outbreak has negative correlation with the negative, has a positive correlation or a major correlation with people's negative emotions. We indicated and we proved that even on a handball federation, on a handball sport, women showed their negative emotion and they felt more suppressed in differentiation with men. Now, let's go to the other unique result of the study. We mentioned before that European handball referees had higher levels of suppression than the international handball referees. Wow, very unique result. Why something like that occurred in our study? Ladies and gentlemen, as I told you before, no previous study internationally has been conducted not only on team handball or handball level, but in any referee level. So the researchers believe, we are the first, I mention it once again, that internationally wise, state these results, that the differentiation might occur because of a difference of experience in terms of level, type, period, and intensity of competition which the two groups have been exposed, or as uh, the Federation informed us, uh, international handball referees uh, have been through some kind of mental training process or processes, which might help them to cope better with the negative aspects, meaning negative psychological aspects of COVID-19 outbreak. So, in conclusion, we know that the spread of COVID-19 raises concerns about increased panic and anxiety in people, even among us, ladies and gentlemen, that we're trapped in a corona virus threat, either real or theoretical. Handball referees are a part of this universal group. So we proved that um, they are affected also. And as you see, handball has and will be affected by COVID-19 pandemic. So what we try to do as the first time, as a first step, and hopefully some other people will follow our research, is that through our research, we can better assist and prepare those people to use tools that they can help them out, indicate the differences, indicate the problematic behaviors, and try to change them. How? By supporting emotionally the people, by um, introducing them sport psychological techniques um, such as relaxation techniques, stress reduction techniques, and techniques of increasing positive emotions, such as mental training, such as mental imagery that can help them out cope better with the negative aspects of COVID-19, not only on their handball federation life or handball federation referee life, but their general life. Of course, we know that sports psychology practitioners could support referees in their effort to learn how to regulate their own emotions during stressful situations. As I mentioned before, I would like to thank the European Handball Federation that gave us the opportunity to conduct this specific research. We hope that we will continue help each other with future research in any sport psychological